Shalom Israel first. Only world praise, glory, honor to Yahweh, by Shemi outside, by Shemi Kakodash. The one see Apostle Elsgray Millstone. Peace, citation, one of Israel. And for this lesson, I want to title it True Family. And, the true family are the fellow believers, those that serve Yahweh by Shemi outside. Because, you got family members in the world, I'm going to say relatives, all right? You got relatives in the world that don't have any code of conduct. All right. You'll see videos, for instance, of, a dude's brother sleeping with his brother's wife. Or, apparently there's memes where you got uncles or, tios that be trying to hit on, their nephew's woman, like shit like that. There's no code and conduct amongst these people, all right, among beasts, all right, because they don't have the truth. All right. So therefore they're gonna walk accordingly, and try to say, oh, we're family though, but they don't give you a means to, be a nigga at the end of the day. All right, but I'm gonna read Sirach 6 and start at 13. It says, separate thyself from thine enemies and take heed of thy friends. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that has found such and one has found a treasure. All right. And once you let me keep reading. It says, nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable. All right, you're not going to get faithful friends in the world. All right, and I'm going to keep reading. It says, a faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him. So these people in the world, they don't fear the Lord. All right, that friend, you before you came into the truth, you had friends, that you thought you was never going, depart from, basically, that you never thought you was gonna be cut off from, or you thought y'all was gonna be homies forever. Well, when you come into the truth, the Lord, he blesses you with, new friends, for lack of better words, but he ultimately he blesses you with the true family. All right, a new family, loving, caring bros, all right, that serve the Lord. All right, it says, whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. All right, so, and that leads me to this right here. Let's go to Amos 3:3. It says, can two walk together except they be agreed? All right, so, there may be an instance where, bringing up the friends in the world type example, you won't have, a friend in the world, and immediately the relationship may not get cut off that instant. But, give us some time, that fire that you guys had is gonna eventually die out, because, y'all on two different wavelengths. You serve the Lord, you walking in the light, but these people walking in darkness. All right, that's why, you can't get along. All right. And you could fake it for a little bit, oh yeah, I don't do this, but ultimately it's like it comes to a cutoff point where the Lord's like, all right, you're not gonna be dealing with these niggas no more. All right. Well, let me keep reading this. Or actually, yeah. Well, 16 and 17 verse, were the points. All right. But let's get this. John 3 and 19, it says, and this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. All right, and ultimately that's where, the persecution comes in at, when people start hating on you because you serve the Lord. Well, that was written about, the Lord, he literally warned us about that. All right, it says, but he that doeth truth coming, but he that doeth truth coming to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are right in the Most High. And let me go to John 15. All right, John 15 and 18. It says, if the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. So the world hated Yahushua. Why? Because Yahushua, he was contrary to this world. This world is wicked. All right, this world lies in total darkness. All right, and people, as we just read in John the third chapter, these people are gonna reject the truth. All right, so. But let me keep reading. It says, if you are of the world will love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. All right. Let me go to the blue letter right quick. John 15. And well, I ain't gonna lie, I skipped a little bit. Let me go to the 12th verse. Let me go up. It says, John 15:12 says, this is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. All right, in the world, you don't get that true love, that true, sincere love, that you get from the bros, because there's always, though they may show you it for a little bit, it's not truly genuine. All right. And we're coming to the time where everyone's, where relationships are going to get tested. The friends you thought you had in the world, you going to see how friendly they are, and how much they your ride or dies in the times to come. Because we coming in some evil times, and it's going to try everybody. All right. It says, greater love had no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. All right, and Yahushua, he had the greatest love. He has the greatest love for his elect. All right, to sacrifice yourself for the elect, and then niggas that put you on the cross, like, bro, that's love right there. All right, and that's why Yahushua is to be worshipped. All right, you got niggas out here talking about you don't gotta worship the sun. Well, okay, nigga, we'll see where that gets you. All right. But let me skip down and 18. It says, the world hates you. You know that it hated me before it hated you. You are the world loves its own, but because you're not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore that world hated you. Remember the word that is said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master or his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. All right, so I said, but all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. All right, so they don't know the Father at the end of the day. All right, because they're receiving not the love of the truth. All right, but yeah. So kind of just tying in the point I was saying earlier. Salaki, I'm kind of all over the place, but as Yahushua went through it, we're gonna go through it. All right, but we got brothers that's gonna go through. Bro, the elect. When you read John 17, let's read John 17. It says, John 17:6, it says, I manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word. And the men are the elect. All right, the elect men, is whom the Lord is praying for in John 17 chapter. All right. And that's the true family at the end of the day. Because bro's going through the same shit. Bro, hold on. Let me get this. Kind of just hit it on the head. Outside. Matthew 12 and started 46. It says, while he yet talked to the people, behold, it's talking about outside. Behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then said unto him, behold. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and mother and sister. All right, so ultimately, your true family is those that serve the Lord. All right, because, going back, Salaki, I'm all over the place, but going back to the, what Spirit brought out earlier is this. Hold up. Hold up. Well, this is a good one. I'll bring this one up too. 2 6 and 22. It says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown; the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid." So this is going into a time of chaos. Full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. That's famine, ain't it not? And when food is not available, people, are not gonna be friendly. All right, you see the videos that are coming out about the whole SNAP benefits, and it's none but this shit ain't even happened yet. But people are talking about how, yeah, I'm gonna do this, that, and third. Like, the tension is in the air, all right, and hey, we come to a time where motherfuckers about to be hungry, all right. So in the cartoons, that you got two friends, right, and then one of them gets hungry and whatnot. And then he looks at the other friend like a piece of meat. That's what's about to happen, right? But the elect ain't gonna do that. The true family ain't gonna commit cannibalism on each other. That's just off. All right, and that's death right there. All right, because true family, as we read in Matthew, talking about Yahushua said, "Who are my brethren? Who are my mother? Who are my sister?" Roughly paraphrasing, those that do the will of the Lord. You're held by a standard, and you're commanded to, as we read in John, the 5th chapter or 15th chapter, love ye one another. All right, and true love is keeping of the commandments. So you're not gonna do certain shit. You're not gonna sleep with your brother's wife. You're not gonna steal from your brother. And et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, the commandments. But that's true love right there. But the people in the world, they don't have true love, ultimately, And though things are functioning now, you still get your morning coffee, this, that, and the third. Well, just give it some time, all right? Let me keep reading. It says, "And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run." All right, so you're going to have friends fighting like enemies, Right here, Matthew 10 and 34, it says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am coming to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household." All right, so just proving that, if you ain't serving the Lord, your family, if your family ain't serving the Lord, your family might deliver you up when all hell breaks loose. You on TV, on the camp, the news. You got a reward on your head. Deliver this man right here, and we'll give you money, or we'll give you some food. Hey, you might get delivered up. Like that's the times we're coming into. And that's heavy to say, but that's something we gotta expect. It says, "He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. He that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me." All right. It says, "He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it." All right. So it was kind of just the mindset, of what's to come. The mentality of being a pilgrim here. We're not here to build. We're not here to be family man of the year. We here to preach his word, gather the elect, and get the fuck out. All right, and then that's in the kingdom. That's when we can enjoy our family. All right, you're not gonna have to worry about nothing. There's gonna be no worries at all. All right, but a friend. This is Sirach 12 and 8. It says, "A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity." All right, so we in prosperity right now, right? You got people, oh, hey, how you doing? You know, this, that, and third. You know, trying to be all friendly and shit. But in the times of adversity, they not going to hear that. They're not going to want to, they going to see what you got. All right? It's going to be on some purge like shit. And that's what's coming. But the elect bros ain't going to do that. You know? The true brothers ain't going to do that. All right? The true family ain't going to do that. All right? This is spiritual. Hey, call all your best man outside. I wasn't even thinking about this. 1 Kings 18:1. It says, and it came to pass that after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the third year, saying, Go, show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. For it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. All right. So in the times to come, you know, bro's miracles gonna be happening. Bro's gonna be fed, you know. But and this is in a famine, you know. So just imagine the what's the word for it? I'm gonna say, you know, the environment, like the mood of it, you know. In a famine, you ain't laughing and giggling, which, you know, in the times to come, the Lord promised that to his men that we're gonna be laughing and giggling, you know. At famine and destruction, thou shalt laugh. All right, so we're gonna be all right, you know, but we gotta trust and believe that. All right. But you know, kind of just just put it in perspective, it's not a feasting time, you know. This is like, it's serious, you know, there's a famine going on, like, oh shit, you know. And guess what? Obadiah and 100 prophets, those that serve the Lord, you know, which the true family are those that serve the Lord, you know, they were fed. They fed one another. All right, it says, and hid them. Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. Now, what people in the world gonna do that, you know, when all hell breaks loose? All right. Now, obviously, you know, the Lord, he gonna make it to where, you know, you'll have certain people that's gonna feed the prophets. You know, helps of the prophets. All right. I'm trying to think of some accounts. I think one account is when Elijah got fed by that woman and her son. You know. What else? Slaki, I'm trying to think of some accounts. But there's been accounts where, you know, you have helps of the prophets, but, you know, they were destined to be saved. You know, that's a lot, because you got helps that are gonna make it. You know, if you give this prophet a cup of cold water, you shall receive a prophet's reward. Roughly paraphrasing. So that's what's coming. All right. So basically, you know, the truth, you know, so like I'm all over the place, but these people, they gonna be exposed in the adversity to come. All right, you gonna see who your true family is in the times to come. All right, but to end it off, let's go to Psalms. Is it 133? There you go. Psalms 133:1. It says, "Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." And, you know, dwelling with bros, man, it's reviving. You know, it's all through the spirit. You know, it's reviving. It's rejuvenating. You know, you may have the most shittiest day of your shittiest week, but when you link up with bros, it's like, damn, I forgot all about that shit. All right. It says, it is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, and went down to the skirts of his garments. All right. But yeah, honestly, I don't really got to draw it out too much. You know, points were made. You know, so, you know, there's a conduct. You know, that there's a standard. You know, when we serve the Lord. You know, and doing the standard is, you know, taking care of our brothers. You know, serving our brothers ultimately, and that's true family right there. All right, so yeah, I don't wanna draw this out. Hopefully, it's well said and edifying. But want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashim, Shai, Bashim.